But first, to another worrying sign of the rise and normalisation of Islamism in the West and the push for backward quasi-blasphemy laws that prevent criticism or mockery of religion. This week, British Labor MP and the Shadow Minister for Community Cohesion, Naz Shah, suggested that if tearing down statues of Churchill is harmful and worthy of severe punishment, then what about the harm of hurt feelings when the Prophet Muhammad is insulted? She tweeted about the connection Muslims have with the Prophet Muhammad with the hashtag #NotJustACartoon. As we all know, cartoonists mocking Muhammad and other religious figures were murdered by Islamists in the Charlie Hebdo attack in 2015, and just last year, a French teacher was beheaded by an Islamist after accusations that he had showed his class a cartoon of the Prophet Muhammad. But Naz Shah feels it right and proper to tweet not just a cartoon and push this lunacy in Parliament. Have a look at this.
As a Muslim, Madam Deputy Speaker, for me and millions of Muslims across this country and quarter of the world's population that is Muslim too, with each day and each breath, there is not a single thing in the world that we commemorate and honour more than our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. But when bigots and racists defame, slander or abuse our Prophet, peace be upon him, just like some people do the likes of Churchill, the emotional harm caused upon our hearts is unbearable. Because for 2 billion Muslims, he is the leader we commemorate in our hearts, honour in our lives, and forms the basis of our identity and our very existence.
Yes, she really did equate the so-called slander of her prophet to tearing down statues of Churchill. Her whole diatribe was in pursuit of similar punishment for those who criticise Muhammad to those who destroy public property. The insidious term Islamophobia has been used to silence and smear criticism of Islam and Islamism and to cast critics as bigots and racists. There is absolutely nothing bigoted about criticising any religion, particularly one which is at the heart of so much oppression and suffering. I'm not talking about historic human rights abuses here, but atrocities happening right now in 2021 in the name of religion. I won't even touch on the sectarian violence, the terrorist attacks, the persecution of religious minorities and non-believers in Muslim-majority countries. We'll be here all day. But right now in 2021, we have around 200 million women and girls around the world who have suffered FGM, according to UNICEF. Every year, up to 4 million girls are forced to undergo female genital mutilation. Little girls suffering horrific abuse with lifelong consequences. Even in Australia, there are more than 50,000 females who have suffered FGM, according to government figures. That's around 1 in every 250 Australian women. In 2021, in uncivilised parts of the world, we have thousands of girls and women murdered in so-called honour killings. We have the depravity of child marriage justified on religious grounds, as well as the imprisonment, beating and even murder of homosexuals, with a number of countries still carrying the death sentence for homosexuality. I'll give you one guess what those countries have in common. But speaking out against the excesses of Sharia law, the persecution of women living under Islam, the fact that there are women right now in Iran locked up for defying compulsory hijab laws, to bring attention to such issues sees the predictable cries of Islamophobia. It's not like we weren't warned. The signs were there, and brave souls like Christopher Hitchens warned us to resist this dangerous phenomenon. But sadly, we didn't listen. Here is Hitch back in 2009, predicting with perfect clarity how Islamophobia would be used to silence dissent and criticism.
Resist it while you still can, and before the right to complain is taken away from you, which will be the next thing. You will be told you can't complain because you're Islamophobic. The term is already being introduced into the culture as if it was an accusation of race hatred, for example, or bigotry, whereas it's only the objection to the preachings of a very extreme and absolutist religion. Watch out for these symptoms. They are not just symptoms of surrender. very often ecumenically offered to you by men of God in other robes, Christian and Jewish and smarmy ecumenical. These are the ones who will hold open the gates for the barbarians. The barbarians never take a city till someone holds the gates open for them. And it's your own preachers who will do it for you, and your own multicultural authorities who will do it for you. Resist it while you can.
We should have listened. I'll end by quoting the very best definition of Islamophobia I've seen. It says this: it's a word that's been created by fascists and used by cowards to manipulate morons.